Let's do this.
Hi, folks. It's me, John Tapp, with the Sang truck,
Turn right.
and since I stopped in Montana, and I completed the other one in the other city, so we're gonna start from uh, Great Falls tonight. Going to deliver beef corn dogs in New Orleans, and And I hope you guys
Get
had a
ready to
good
turn left.
Valentine's Day so far. Uh, and but let's go for a ride.
Turn left,
And
then turn right.
it's gonna be the 2,000 mile ride. Uh, in fact, let's go for a ride.
Turn right. Keep right, and then exit right. Exit right. Caution, please mind the speed limit.
And we went on a hike in San Francisco, and we just spent the whole day outside of the rink. And I was talking to them like how I want to quit, how I don't enjoy the sport anymore. Like there's so many things I would rather be doing than being at the rink. And Jeremy was actually like, "Oh yeah, well like you can quit. Like it's totally okay. Like you could quit today if you wanted. Like there's so much more than the sport." And then yeah, so we were kind of going in that direction. So I almost quit that day. And then but then Massimo was like, "Well, maybe sleep on it, sleep on it." So I slept on it, and I ended up not quitting just because I was like, I don't know actually, but I just kept skating, and it was not that, I don't know how I
Go
feel,
straight
but
on.
about that decision to keep going. But I did keep going, and obviously I had already been planning to quit for a long time, and I thought, well, if I can at least, go to the Olympics and, accomplish my childhood dream, because I also didn't want to feel like I did all that for nothing, because I didn't enjoy, much of the journey either. And if I don't get any like result in the end, it's really not worth it. And so that's kind of where my thought process was. I was like, okay, just make it to the Olympics, and then you can be done. And so that's kind of exactly what I did.
You went to the Olympics in Beijing not like feeling like you were driving towards trying to medal at all.
Oh no, I just wanted to go to the Olympics, and once I got there, I had already accomplished what I wanted to. So I was just enjoying the moment.
Like Alyssa said, she wasn't necessarily trying to medal at the Beijing Olympics, but she did pretty well anyway.
Go
She
straight
placed
on.
7th overall and helped Team USA earn a bronze medal. Then in 2022, she moved forward with her plan to give up figure skating altogether.
When I quit, I decided I would never Not that I would never, but I wouldn't compromise so much of myself to do something that I didn't want to do. I would never do that again. Like making sacrifices for something I didn't think was worth it.
Keep in mind, when Alyssa makes this decision to quit, she's only 16 years old. She's just a kid. She had already finished high school a year earlier at just 15 years old. She was homeschooled so she could focus on skating. So after the Beijing Olympics, she's a super burnt out teenager. She takes 2 years off completely, just trying to catch her breath. And then she enrolls at UCLA to study psychology. While she's working on her undergrad degree, she and her family go on vacation together. And that trip changes everything for Alyssa.
I would love if you would take me to a certain ski slope in Tahoe in 2024. A ski trip that I've read about. Can you paint a picture for me? Where were you? Who were you with? What was the weather like? How were the ski conditions?
Yeah. Well, I was with all of my siblings. So I have 4 siblings. And I was also with my best friend. And we were just skiing. It was my first time. We were in Tahoe. I'm pretty sure we were at Heavenly.
Nice. Good spot. Wait, this is your first time skiing? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, that was my first time skiing. It was
Go straight
okay.
January of 2024. And because before then, I just never really skied. And when I was skating before, they didn't let me ski because they said it was too dangerous and the risk of injury was not worth it. So
Yeah.
I was never allowed to ski either. And it was really fun. It wasn't really snowing, but there was a lot of snow on the mountain, of course. And man, yeah, I don't know. I just never had to, since I quit, I didn't have to, feel that adrenaline rush. And so that was the first time I really felt that. And it was great.
So how did it change your thinking about skating? I mean, you had been away from figure skating for a couple years.
Go straight on.
I think that Sports Illustrated had a wonderful line. The only ice she touched was in her drinks. So you had really been off the ice. So what changed on the slopes? Like what magic thing happened in your mind?
I mean, it's really similar. So I decided to go back on the ice and try it out because if you can get the same feeling from skiing and skating, that's just so much easier for me.
Was it the same feeling? Like what is the feeling on the
Keep
slope
left,
that feels
and then
similar to
turn
skating?
left.
I mean, I guess you could say this for every sport. You just give it your all. Like, there's not many
Turn
things
left.
in life that you do where you have to give 100% of you. You know what I mean? And I kind of love feeling like I'm on my last breath, I guess, or I physically cannot do more. I love pushing myself to that boundary. And I guess I was just missing that when I quit because life was so easy, You don't have to push your body to its limits. And I love that feeling because you need to have willpower for it. And I guess I just didn't feel like I needed to have willpower when I quit because everything was so easy compared to it. So I decided to go back into a sport.
Just so you
Go
understand
straight
how
on.
crazy this whole thing was, just 2 years earlier, Alyssa had announced to the entire world that she was
Keep
done
left,
skating.
And then
I mean,
turn
at this
left.
point, she didn't even know where her old pair of skates was anymore. And now, after one recreational ski trip, she wanted to just get back into the sport like she never left.
Okay, so you call your coach. You had left skating a couple years ago, telling the world that you were moving on with your life. What did you tell him?
Well, I was just telling him that I want to, I want lessons from him, and that I kind of want to give my all again to something like a sport. And he was walking me through what life would be like if I did return to
Turn
the
left.
sport, because he knew how hard it was for me the last time, and he also knew the reasons why I left, and he didn't want me to make the same mistakes again, you know what I mean? Because it would suck if at the end of this journey I'm on, I ended up feeling the same exact way as I did the first time. So he was just making sure that I was coming back for the right reasons, because a lot of times it's not like that, and he just didn't want me to get hurt again. So I was answering all his questions, and I was answering them quite well, and so I convinced him to start coaching me again.
What did you have to convince him? Because it sounds like he's such a caring person who knew that you went through pain, when you were younger skating, decide to leave. He's being protective. Like, what do you feel like you said to win him over and say, okay, let's get back into this, Alyssa?
Yeah, well, I basically had to convince him that I was like a healthy individual, I had to pass his psych test, his psych evaluations. Because last time, I was, like, you have no idea. I was dreading going to the rink every day. I did not want to be there, and I felt like I was doing it against my own will. There were so many days where I would show up to the rink, and while warming up, I would just start uncontrollably crying. And I don't know, I just felt a feeling of dread all the time.
Long story short, Alyssa convinced her coaches that she really did want to come back to skating, that she was ready for all the hard work it would take and the stress it would put on her. More from Alyssa Liu coming up next.
You count on Houston Public Media. That's why you're here right now. Take the next step and become a new member today. Every gift makes a difference. And with a gift of $5 or more per month, you'll receive PBS Passport, a member benefit that lets you stream more of the shows you love anytime. It only takes a few minutes to make a big difference. Become a new member today at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
It's Maria Hinojosa, host of Latino USA. We all love great stories, and great stories are what we pride ourselves in delivering to you every week. Latino USA presents a mix of reporting on culture and politics, diverse voices, and coverage of current and emerging issues, featuring stories from the heart, stories that will make you think and maybe even inspire you. Listen to Latino USA from PRX.
Sundays at 7 p.m. on News 88.7.
Hi, I'm John Donvan, host of Open to Debate, where we bring you open-minded discussions and debates about the issues affecting our lives. Everything from science and tech to politics, culture, and foreign policy. In our divided nation, we feel it's more important than ever for people to be open-minded, open to disagreement, and open to listening to the other side. Join me in being open to debate.
Sunday night at 10 p.m. on News 88.7.
Welcome back to Sports in America, and let's get right back into our conversation with Alyssa Liu. Her first major competition back on the ice was the 2025 World Championships last year in Boston, where she did that routine set to MacArthur Park. You show up in Boston for the World Championships after you decide to make this comeback, 2025, and you win. And it's like everything I saw in the images was that you were probably the most surprised person in that entire arena. But it was just like you were soaking it in this like authentic way that I just don't feel like we see from athletes that often.
Turn right.
So what was the feeling when you won the 2025 World Championships out of nowhere? Like you were seen as this comeback story. You had decided not to retire. I don't think there were any expectations that you were gonna win the championship, and you do.
Oh yeah, no, there was not even a thought. Yeah, not even a thought in my head. I was really happy, but also like, I know it matters to a lot of people, but it didn't matter too much to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, it was great, but I feel like there are much better things in life than, winning a world championships. But in the moment, it was, it was so shocking, and I love good twists, you know what I mean? I love suspense, and it was very dramatic, and I felt like I was in a movie for, like, that whole day. I was like, what is going on? But, yeah, it was great, but also, I'm really good at staying grounded.
What does that mean? What does it mean, and how do you do that?
I don't know. I think the weight of world champion is just non-existent. There's no weight, because it's fake. It's just a title for that one competition that you do. And there's so many other competitions, and there's more world championships like next year, and it's more about the skate instead of the results, because sometimes the results don't match your performance, and there's judges, so it's all biased, and I feel like it almost takes away. So I actually, rather than people knowing me for winning a title, I would rather people know me for what programs I did.
When you said it doesn't matter to you, I nodded and said, I know what you're talking about. I was lying. I don't totally picture it. I was like, how can it not matter to the athlete when we're sort of all watching you and rooting for you? Is it just a matter of just not putting those expectations on yourself?
Well, it's like those expectations are so shallow, I guess. Like, it's just an experience. It comes and goes, and winning it's like that, you know. I missed 2 world championships, and do I feel a certain way about it? Not at all. I don't care that I missed 2 world championships. I don't care that I won this one. I don't care if I'm not going to win the next one. Like, it just doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things.
This is the part of the conversation with Alyssa that was so hard for me to really grasp. I mean, I've interviewed a lot of elite athletes for this show, Olympians, NFL players, college athletes, and none of them, and I really do mean none of them, talk about their sport like this, that the titles don't matter to them at all, that they really don't care about winning, that they can somehow unburden themselves of all the external pressures. Honestly, part of this mentality from Alyssa drove me crazy. I mean, hello, you're a professional athlete and you're telling me you don't really feel any pressure. There's just no way that's true. But then another part of me was kind of inspired. Alyssa had been through a lot from a young age. Not all of it was fair to her. If she really can shake off the expectation that everyone is putting on her and just compete for herself, for the love of the sport, then that's pretty amazing.
Recomputing.
All right, well, let's talk about these upcoming Olympics in Italy, because I mean, you said your life feels like a movie, and it really, I will say as an outside observer, like it feels that way after everything. I mean, the toxicity that you dealt with at such a young age, the retiring from the sport, and then the decision to come back in a totally different way. Like, how are you approaching these Olympics?
Honestly, it's almost similar to the last time I was at the Olympics, but I'm actually enjoying the sport, so I'm really excited for it. I also heard that this Olympics will be better just because it won't be a COVID Olympics, and I mean, listen, I'm really excited. It's like the biggest stage ever, and I have programs I really like and that I really want to show, so kind of all I feel is excitement, you know? I mean, I have a ways to go before I reach the programs that I'm really super proud of. I have a lot of work to do, but by Olympics, I'll have those programs the way I want, and hopefully I'll be able to perform it the way I want as well. But yeah, so much anticipation.
I mean, I don't have to tell you this, the international attention, you know, since you won the World Championship in Boston, it's only going to grow as we get closer, and the hopes of so many Americans are going to be riding on your shoulders. Figure skating is a sport that so many people love. I mean, I just read this line from a piece in The Guardian: were she to win a medal of any color in Milan, Lou would become the first American woman to reach the Olympic podium since Sasha Cohen won silver in 2006. Like, how do you not let those expectations and those narratives take you out of this unbelievably impressive kind of like state of just flow that you're in right now? Just like going with the flow and enjoying this and having fun.
Yeah, I mean, things will play out the way they're meant to, I think. And I mean, we have other U.S. women too, so luckily it won't only be me. So I guess that also takes pressure off, because there's other people that are medal potentials. And yeah, I just really don't care, I guess. I just personally can't bring myself to truly care about winning a medal or not.
And it sounds like that's part of your success. Like, you do your best when you're not caring as much. When you're having fun, I guess is what I'm saying. When you're enjoying performing.
Yeah. I mean, when I'm enjoying performing, it doesn't matter what happens. And also, like, for example, if I skate horribly but somehow get a medal, I will not be happy with that. I would rather skate really well and not get a medal. You know what I mean? I also love when other people skate well. I love a good competition, you know.
As we kind of finish up your journey, a prodigy, you were called like a incredibly young athlete competing at the highest level and winning a championship at the age of 13. All of that pressure, the toxicity as you described it, and then leaving the sport, and then like this comeback journey. Like as you look at that whole trajectory, what does your life and journey tell us about sports, about skating, about life?
Moral of the story is try to have good balance. You know, balance is so important, and that's for anyone, like athlete or not. You shouldn't be 100% into something and, you know, not exploring the rest of your potential, basically. That would be doing yourself a disservice. And I mean, literally, as long as you're having fun, you know, I feel like I don't take life very seriously, because it's not. So, yeah, I'm just going with it. There's just so many different paths you could take in life. Like, if I quit today, oh my God, there's so many possibilities. Like, I would not be mad. There's so many other things I could be doing.
Alyssa, this has been a true pleasure, and I don't want to put pressure on you, but we're all rooting for you in Italy and can't wait to see you on the ice. Best of luck to you, and thank you so much for the time.
Yes, thank you so much. This was really fun.
Next time on Sports in America,
Nick Gepper, another silver.
We take the leap with skier and 3-time Olympic medalist Nick Gepper as he gets ready to compete in Milan.
I've been on a different track than most people for my entire life.
We'll talk about the highs and lows of preparing for the games, the struggle when the world's obsession with you moves on, and the challenge of managing mental health and addiction alongside an elite level of training.
Oh my God, you won an Olympic medal, you've got some money, you're on national TV. Like, what could possibly be going wrong for you, kid?
We also want to hear from you. Maybe your favorite Olympic underdog stories. Maybe the best place to grab an espresso in Milan. Whatever it is, how about you drop us a line? You can write us at sportsinamerica@whyy.org. That's sportsinamerica@whyy.org.
Go straight on.
This is Sports in America. I'm your host, David Green. Our executive producers are Joan Isabella and Tom Grassler. Our senior producer is Michael Alcott. Our producer is Michaela Winberg. And our associate producer is Bibiana Correa. Our engineer is Mike Billers. Our talent booker is Britt Kahn. Our tile artwork was created by B. Bowling. Sports in America is a production of WHYY.
Houston Public Media comes from Metro. Introducing the Ride Metro Fare Card. The Ride Metro Fare system replaces the Metro Q Fare Card for bus and rail fares. Details at ridemetro.org/fare system.
As the news gets more complex and changes through the day, you need more than just a quick headline check. Here and Now keeps you connected to your world between Morning Edition and All Things Considered, as the news and the people shaping it are changing in real time. I'm Robin Young. Follow along on Here and Now. Here and Now, every Monday through Thursday, 1 p.m. on News 88.7.
Your NPR station, News 88.7 KUHF Houston, a service of the University of Houston. Get local and breaking news anytime at houstonpublicmedia.org. Listen to us on your favorite devices. Tell your smart speaker to play News 88.7.
Hey, y'all, I'm Sam Sanders. Today on my show with KCRW, filmmaker Nia DaCosta. She's a director who has done a little bit of everything. Horror, period drama, big Marvel blockbuster. But with all of her work, Nia is getting at these really big existential questions about what it means to be alive.
I think as human beings, obviously, like, we are on a rock flinging itself through space in a universe that is mostly nothing. And I think the meaninglessness that can incite in a person has led to, like, beautiful things like art and family and whatever, but also to really terrible things like cults and dogmas that are harmful to us.
Plus, a lot of people are quitting Spotify, the world's largest music streamer. We'll break down why this hour after these headlines.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Janine Hurst. Slovakia is pitching itself as a place for diplomacy on Ukraine. NPR's Michelle Kellerman reports Secretary of State Marco Rubio sounded interested as he visited the country, which leans toward Russia.
Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico says he's ready to host any future peace negotiations. He blamed Europe for prolonging the war by supplying weapons to Ukraine and did not criticize Russia at all during his news conference with Secretary of State Rubio, who thanked him for his insights on Ukraine.
It is something that we care about, but it is something you live next door to.
Fico praised Rubio's boss, President Trump, as a, quote, very pragmatic and rational leader, once again dismissing reports that he told some EU leaders that he was worried about Trump's mental state during a visit in Florida last month. Rubio is now in Hungary to meet another pro-Trump leader, Viktor Orban. Michelle Kellerman, NPR News, Budapest.
President Trump says he wants to nationalize this year's midterm elections, but as NPR's Mara Eliason reports, the Constitution would get in the way.
Trump told podcast host Dan Bongino that he wants Republicans to, quote, take over the voting.
Republicans should say, we want to take over. We should take over the voting in at least 15 places. The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting.
Election experts say that would be very hard, if not impossible. The Constitution clearly gives states and Congress, not the president, the right to conduct elections. But experts worry that Trump could undermine the vote. He's commandeered voter records in 11 states already and could move to disqualify certain voters. Ever since 2016, Trump has said he would only honor the results of elections his side wins. That's what January 6th was all about. Mara Eliason, NPR News.
Authorities investigating the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie are testing DNA on a glove found about 2 miles from her home in Arizona. The FBI, which says the glove appears to match the gloves worn by the masked person seen at her door on the surveillance video. NPR's Alina Selyuk has more.
The statement from the FBI says that investigators had collected about 16 gloves in various areas around the house, but most of them belong to people who helped search for the missing Nancy Guthrie. And this one glove with the DNA was found in a field near the side of the road on Thursday. By Friday, it arrived at a lab in Florida, and by Saturday, the FBI received preliminary results. Now the FBI says investigators are, quote, awaiting quality control and official confirmation before they'll put the profile into its national DNA database. Alina Selyuk, NPR News.
Wall Street's closed tomorrow in observance of the President's Day federal holiday. This is NPR News. Participants in the annual Christmas bird count are on deadline to submit their data this month to Cornell University. Aspen Public Radio's Reagan Mertz reports birders in the Aspen area got some help from the Ski Patrol.
This year, 1,200 birds were counted across 41 species. Rebecca Weiss with the Aspen Center for Environmental Studies says there are usually way more. An unusually dry and warm winter is causing birds to behave differently, making it more difficult for birders to find them. Snowmass Ski Area ski patrollers came through, though. They spotted the ptarmigan, a rare high alpine bird that Rebecca Weiss describes as camouflaged.
It's kind of hard for people to census ptarmigans because they live so remotely and in such rugged habitat. Their plumage is pure white.
The Snowmass ski patrollers are some of the only patrollers in the world that participate in the bird count. For NPR News, I'm Reagan Mertz in Aspen, Colorado.
The National Weather Service says a powerful storm is heading to Southern California into this week. Meteorologist Jacob Spender says significant snowfall is possible in the higher elevations.
We're looking at 4 to 8 feet, but then as we get down to around 2,500 to 3,500 feet, we're looking at around a range of 1 to 2 feet and up to a foot as we get down to 1,500 to 2,500 feet.
He says showers and thunderstorms are possible in the valley. The weather will also impact travel and could hit parts of Nevada and Oregon. I'm Janine Herbst, NPR News.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include the LoneStar Foundation, inspired by the maxim that helping someone else less fortunate is a path to a happier, healthier, and more meaningful life. Learn more at LoneStarFoundation.org. This is NPR.
Hi, I'm John Donvan, host of Open to Debate, where we bring you open-minded discussions and debates about the issues affecting our lives. Everything from science and tech to politics, culture, and foreign policy. In our divided nation, we feel it's more important than ever for people to be open-minded, open to disagreement, and open to listening to the other side. Join me in being open to debate.
Sunday night at 10 p.m. on News 88.7.
Go straight on.
Hey, y'all, it's the Sam Sanders Show from KCRW, all about the things that entertain us. This week, director Nia DaCosta on the power of horror.
I love horror.
Good, that's what I want to.
Like, I really do. And I think even when I do a drama, even when I do a comedy or whatever, I've never done a comedy, but maybe one day, I think the, like, tension and the like, human nakedness of horror is really exciting to me.
But first, Spotify. A lot of people are canceling their subscriptions with the world's largest music streamer. They are angry at the platform and the algorithm, or angry at the way Spotify compensates musicians. Some are angry about the ads they've heard on the platform, like recruitment ads for ICE. This all has me asking, is Spotify in trouble? I posed that question to Ashley Carmen, correspondent for Bloomberg. She recently spent some time at Spotify headquarters in Sweden, where she interviewed the company's executive leadership. If you, like me, have any questions for and about the world's biggest music streamer, this episode is for you. Let's get into it. There are a lot of whammies piling up for Spotify. Given all that, looking at the company and its strength, especially as it changes leadership, is Spotify okay?
So here's the thing. Spotify is, I would say, the most powerful company in music. It is essential to musicians and how they make their money and how they live in this world.
Yeah.
The company continues to add tons of subscribers and users every single quarter. So this boycott Spotify movement hasn't had a huge uptake around the world, I would say. It has not affected their recruitment as far as consumers go. And from an artist perspective, it's been more indie artists who have fan bases, but it's not like Taylor Swift is leaving Spotify. So the boycott Spotify part of this isn't really what I would say is the threat to Spotify's business. What is the bigger question for Spotify is Gen Z. They love video, for example. Spotify needs people to do video, and they are, but like, is it really working? And then Gen Z, when they're off their family plans, or even Gen Alpha, do they continue to subscribe? AI, are we going to be using Suno or Udio as examples where maybe we're just remixing songs that we like a Sabrina Carpenter song, to our liking, and we don't need the actual official version from Spotify? Like, maybe we're just playing around with it in Suno and Udio. And does Spotify get those capabilities or not? So these are kind of the bigger questions that I would say are fundamentally challenges for them. And at the end of the day, Spotify still pays over 60% of its revenue to music rights holders. So they are fundamentally burdened in that way, and they have to figure out, for investors, how to get outside of that and actually keep more of their money.
Can I be honest and say I think the algorithm sucks now? I'm constantly bombarded by artists I've never heard of with songs I don't like being pushed to me. And certain playlists that I went to for an amazing discovery years ago are now bad. I used to love, during the depths of COVID lockdown, their modern psychedelia playlists. It kept me company as I road tripped across the country. And it was just ideal, sublime, chill road trip vibe out music. That playlist sucks now. And when I open my homepage for Spotify, it's trying to give me artists that I would never ever seek out. I have talked with people like Liz Pelly about how the algorithm has changed. The biggest change might be, and people don't know this a lot, if you're a musician who wants to get extra love on Spotify and have your music pushed to more homepages and more accounts, if you agree to a lower royalty rate, Spotify will push you. So they've been quietly doing something tantamount to payola in their algorithm for a few years now, huh?
Yes, this is called discovery mode. And I actually wrote about this recently, where when discovery mode was unveiled, everyone in music, it was likened to payola. People were like, this is not okay. And in the years since then, it has become standard in the music business. Everyone
so everyone does it.
Everyone.
Is that why I heard Sabrina Carpenter's Espresso for a good year?
This is a great question.
Nonstop.
Wish I could tell you. They don't tell you. This is the other. They don't tell you which tracks are opted in. So as a consumer, you have no insight into why am I seeing this. And so they are trying to respond to this, I will say. So in this big story I published this week, I interviewed the new co-CEOs, Alex Nordstrom and Gustav Soderstrom, about what they're up to. And their solution for this is basically AI and giving people more control over the algorithm. So they launched something called the prompt playlist that
prompted
playlist, thank you, that lets you essentially type in what you want from the playlist and it will spit it out. And you can be really specific, like
an AI playlist, basically.
Yeah, and you can be like, I want you to make a playlist of all the tracks that were rated 9.0 and above by Pitchfork this year, and I want it to be all artists I've never heard before, or all songs from artists I already like that I haven't heard before. Things like that, where you can get really specific trying to curate it.
Huh. Which seems like it could be good, but also I don't want them to think that hard. I want Spotify thinking that hard about what I want and knowing what I want.
I have a feeling that there will, at least from the impression I got talking to them, it's like they sort of want people to be prompt influencers, where it's like you come up with a really fun prompt that becomes a meme or something and everyone uses it type of thing.
Oh, interesting. So does this new leadership seem hopeful about how Spotify can survive all of this, surviving AI, surviving the rise of TikTok, surviving just all kinds of other streaming platforms and endless scroll video taking people's attention? Are they confident that Spotify can make it through this?
The way they are confident is that their philosophy is basically, well, everyone zigs, they're going to zag. So instead of leaning into doom scrolling, they're going to lean into this mantra they have called no regrets, which is, people love the no regrets, which is that you should not feel bad about the time you spend on Spotify. So at the end of a Spotify session, you are like, you know what? That wasn't a waste of my time. I feel better because I listened to some good music, or I listened to a podcast and learned a lot, or I consumed a really amazing audiobook, or, and this was in my story, a little scoop here, they're getting into fitness content, so guided workouts. So
are you serious? Okay, tell me more. Tell me more.
Well, so what happened was, and you would know this as a podcaster, they've really gone directly for video podcasts. Mm-hmm. And as a result of them launching a new partner program that basically pays people based on the amount of consumption that happens of their programs, instead of it just being video podcasters, YouTubers have gotten into the mix. And part of the YouTubers that have gotten into the mix are these workout instructors who upload their guided workouts, and Spotify is seeing that people are really watching Spotify and doing these workouts. So now they're leaning into that data discovery and building around it.
If you're just now joining me, I am in conversation with Bloomberg's Ashley Carman. We're talking all about why some people are leaving Spotify and what the world's largest music streaming company is trying to do about it. Hearing the way you describe Spotify trying to expand what they do to keep people's attention, it feels a lot like the mission creep of a company like Amazon. Amazon started just to mail you books, and now they do everything. I saw a commercial the other day. You can buy a car on Amazon now. It's kind of wild.
I saw that. Crazy.
Right? It's crazy. What is it with all these companies? You know, and Facebook and Meta are trying to, they all want to become the everything app, the thing you go to for everything. Why do they keep trying this? Why can't they have a lane? It is exhausting me, because now increasingly you get to a point where you can't tell one app from the other because they're all doing the same thing, which is everything.
Well, fundamentally for Spotify, their lane was music. They have other music streaming apps, to your point, Apple Music, that people are using. So that's not going to give them the competitive edge. So then it's like podcasts. Well,
everybody has a podcast.
Right, it's an open source medium. So,
yes.
Okay, that's not going to necessarily be the thing. An exclusive didn't work. So then you're like, video. Well, hey, YouTube is actually now the #1 podcast consumption platform, according to Edison Research. So now Spotify needs video to ensure you keep coming back. And I think they're just continuing to look for ways to up how much time people spend on the app and how often they come back. So in my story, I had a stat that it was people come to Spotify 25 out of 30 days in a month. And that was up from a few years ago. Yeah, and they want to be 30 out of 30. They want you to feel like you have to come to Spotify every day. And this comes in the context, too, of investors want them to raise prices basically forever. And the music industry also wants them to keep raising prices. So if they're going to keep raising prices, they have to justify to the end user why they're raising those prices. And so they have to keep adding stuff.
What is one to do if they are on the cusp of leaving Spotify for ethical reasons? I've been quietly trying to wean myself off of the company for those concerns around ICE ads and other things you mentioned, but also because I think the algorithm and discovery function is now just bad. It's very hard to do, and I don't know if I'll finish the process and fully cut ties. But for someone who is mulling over what to do with Spotify right now, what should they keep in mind and what are the good alternatives?
You might know more than me on this since you've actually tried to go through the process. But the place that I think where Spotify needs to now be extra aware and where I think users will start to actually switch is, so Spotify announced that it's raising prices in the US. It's going to be $13 for a single subscription. That is like $1 away from YouTube Premium. And I now am starting to be like, okay, YouTube Premium, you get ad-free videos, you also get YouTube Music, and you can lock your phone. And YouTube has DJ sets.
You can lock your phone and keep listening to music on YouTube.
Exactly.
Oh.
When you pay.
So it's basically Spotify.
And so that's the thing that I think, and their algorithm obviously is known as being like the best algorithm ever.
It's very good.
Yeah. So maybe other than TikTok. But that is where I'm wondering what's going to end up happening as they start to raise prices, because when you're starting to get very close to the price of some of these other services, then people might have to start making some harder decisions.
Yeah. Do you think that Spotify would have expected to have a reporter who covers their business say that their biggest competitor is a platform like YouTube? Do you think they would have expected that 5 years ago?
Well, 5 years ago, they were poaching Joe Rogan, who was a YouTube podcaster. So maybe they were. Maybe
they saw it coming.
Yeah, they might have. So I wish I remembered the year that wasn't it the famous Netflix quote about we're competing with sleep. I think this idea of we are competing for attention, we need your attention as much as possible, has been in the DNA of many tech companies for a long time. And so I'm sure Spotify has had on their radar, well, who else is competing with us for attention?
The larger question here, and it's been a question forever and forever and forever, is, who is really in charge of the music industry? Is it the labels? Is it the streamers? Is it the artist? Is it the consumers? The artists increasingly are telling everyone we're not making enough money, even though we're doing events and vinyl and merch and streaming and concerts. It's still not enough. The consumers are complaining. The record labels are complaining. When it comes to music, the only folks, it seems, who consistently keep making more money on music or whatever else every year is Spotify. Are they officially now basically in charge of global music as we know it? And whether Spotify, whether the industry?
Huge question. They are the biggest streaming service in the world.
And they're bigger than the labels at this point.
Yeah, and from a just number of people who are using that streaming service, not counting free YouTube. Okay, we're putting that aside a little bit.
Yes.
Here. But Spotify is the most important music streaming service that exists. And by that measure, they do have a lot of power. That said, Spotify would push back and they would say, we're paying more than ever to rights holders in music. They put up a transparency report around this. They would definitely point to it and say, we're paying over 60% of our revenue to the music rights holders. Like, we're not keeping the majority of our revenue. So I don't know if they would say this part, but some of the impression I've gotten is that some people think that there's just a general frustration with the reality of the world, which is, again, this one price for all of the world's music. And it's a frustration with streaming in the current model. And that Spotify, given that it's the largest streaming service in music, is sort of the stand-in for those frustrations when it actually is kind of a frustration with the system.
I get that. Last question for you. You probably know the world of Spotify more than most people. If you were advising them, what'd be the first piece of must-heed advice you'd give them?
Well, I think they're partially doing it based on some of the posts I've seen. They're refocusing on music. And I think that is really important because, to your point, there's a lot of frustration in the music industry towards them, but also they've kind of gone on these side quests with other verticals of content, which are fun and great too. But you got to show some love to that music industry too and really fundamentally build around the music business, because that is why people came to Spotify in the first place.
I'll find it.
Ashley, it's always a pleasure to talk with you. Thanks for your reporting. Keep the hits coming.
Appreciate you, Sam.
Thanks again to Ashley Carmen, correspondent for Bloomberg. Going to take a quick break right now, but when we come back, director Nia DaCosta on the parallels between the real world and the horror films she makes. Stick around.
Want to binge All Creatures Great and Small, catch up on Nova, or revisit Ken Burns documentaries? You can with PBS Passport. With a gift of $5 or more per month to Houston Public Media, you'll get access to PBS Passport that lets you watch your favorite programs anytime you want. Support the programs you love and enjoy them on your own schedule with PBS Passport. Make your gift now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate.
I'm Anita Rao. What happens when a mother and child share a strong bond and a chronic illness?
My mom would say, I went through that too. And so without her intending to do this, we both said, this is normal, and continued on with our lives.
How discovering a shared Ehlers-Danlos diagnosis shaped a family's relationship. Join us next time on Embodied.
And then turn left. Turn left.
Remember when you'd see a bill signing at the White House with lawmakers from both parties celebrating an achievement? Don't look now, but maybe we're getting close to that. A bipartisan bill to make housing more affordable in our country breezed through the House. I'm David Green. There is still lots of work to do on this legislation, but this moment is starting to feel real. We'll talk about it on the next Left, Right, Center.
Sam Sanders here. Thank you so much for checking out my show. My guest this week is Nia DaCosta. She's a film director who has done a little bit of everything. Horror, period drama, big Marvel blockbuster, so many genres. But with all of her work, Nia is getting at these really big existential questions about what it means to be human, to be alive. Nia's latest film is The Bone Temple. It's part of the 28 Days Later film franchise. This movie has Ray Fiennes as a doctor studying killer zombies. There's also a cult and some devil worship and a lot of gore. The entire film is asking its viewers some big questions. What is evil? Is it innate in some people and not others? Or is it always just a choice? Nia DaCosta went all in on those big questions in our conversation. I love this chat so much. I think you will too. Enjoy. I gotta tell you, I have been enjoying watching your filmography, getting ready for this interview.
Oh, lovely. Thank you.
But when I went to go see The Bone Temple, I go to Alamo Drafthouse, as I do, because they have the food.
I love Alamo Drafthouse.
Bring back the fish and chips.
Ooh,
I'll forgive you. Just bring it back. They change their menu up.
I hate when they do that.
I know.
Yeah.
But I'm getting there. sitting down, ready to watch the Bone Temple, and I'm like, gonna eat because I eat when I'm there. And the guy comes by and he's like, hey, welcome. And I'm like, here's my card. I think I want to order. And he goes, no. He goes, don't order yet. The first scene is really, it goes there. So wait a few minutes and then order. So the movie starts, and I'm like, I'll wait to order my burger, my chicken wings. And I'm like, yeah, he's right. That part is gory. I keep waiting to order.
Oh, you should waited too
order.
long. See, I think he put you astray. You
Yeah.
should have ordered, and then the movie would have started. You'd have been like, I'll wait. And then after that, you have a window. And then the scene where you probably can't, I could eat during that scene, but you probably can't eat during the barn scene. And then the rest of the movie is fine. Oh wait,
Then the skinning of the thing.
Sorry, that's what I was talking about, but I forgot the part.
Right at the start, there's the
Yes, people have passed out. I didn't know. There's like something called the vagal something response, or the something vagal response. Someone online is like, I'm so embarrassed I passed out.
Wow. Do you take that as a badge of honor when someone says, I passed out at your gory zombie movie?
You know what's so funny? I'm not trying to do that at all. I'm not trying to like be in the press like, wow, she's so crazy, you know? I'm just thinking like this movie has to be brutal for like emotional reasons because of like the contrast with Kelson's world. But like, but I'm also watching it, and like that scene was much longer actually, and there was more shots of the blood coming out.
Really?
And we cut it not because it was gory. We were like, oh, this is just boring. Like we need to pace the scene up, and so we cut like a couple of those things. It was the barn scene where we had to like genuinely cut because we got an NC-17.
I want to go back to something you said about needing the gore for some of the other emotional parts of the film.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
I think it's a couple things. One, when I first read it, I was super I love the script so much. There's so many surprising moments.
Alex Garland, shout out.
I'm obsessed. Like, I love him. Like, he's such a great writer, and he really... I actually read a line in like a David Ehrlich review, and I don't ever read reviews, but someone was like, it's good, just read it, stop being annoying. And he said something like, Nia, took the bet that Alex threw down. Like, you know, like, oh, you think I can't do that, you know? And I was like, oh, that kind of is what it is. He does put something crazy or like slightly perverse in the script. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna meet you there and take it further.
Yeah.
And so that's how I felt when I read the script. And also I love that it had this beautiful, like, warm bromance on the one hand that was like supported by this worldview of like humanism and curiosity, and also like believing people can change. And on the other hand, there was a worldview of sadism and cruelty and willful violence. And I thought, okay, this one side is going to be so beautiful and so enrapturing and funny. This side has to be as brutal as that side is beautiful, because we're really talking about these two different ways of approaching life. Like, I saw a video of a little girl who got, tear gas in Minnesota, and I'm like, this range of behavior, we're animals at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it's hard to watch, hopefully, but it's not hard to imagine.
Oof.
So that's why.
Oof. Yeah. Yeah. What is your internal barometer for knowing when you've hit the gore cap? I mean, I'm sure an NC-17 rating is one of them, but
that's
besides that,
good external one. So I, as a viewer, I really love gore. I love body horror. I like the visceral. I like viscera, and like that feeling of like, whoa, like I'm pulling apart like the sinews, like.
Okay.
That sounds disgusting, but I mean that in like in an emotional sense as well. And so I like what it does to you emotionally. And sometimes it's fun and funny, like if you're into Terrifier or whatever. And sometimes it's like an elevated version of Terrifier that's fun and funny, but also still working something inside of like this like lizard part of your brain. So I can take a lot. In Bone Temple, the most disgusting part for me, the part that literally makes me like gag, is when Samson's eating the brain and it's in his beard.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's disgusting. That's what gets me. It could be cantaloupe. I'd be like, I'm disgusted. Like, I'm like, oh, and it's just so gross. Yeah. Everything else, I'm like, okay, but I'm not making the movie just for me. And especially a movie that, like, the studio and myself and the producers want to make a lot of money. You have to think about how far you can push it before you have too many people walking out of the film. Because I knew people would walk out, like, it's fine. Because also everyone has their own internal barometer, but it is a horror film, so I think people go in knowing it's going to be distressing or disturbing.
Yeah.
I kind of think about what the film needs, and then I think about how people respond. My producers, the audience, we test it. And then if we get an NC-17, we have to address that, you know? Yeah.
A director really considering the needs of their audience and the folks they work with.
Yeah.
More of this, please. I've seen a lot of films where I've left the theater saying, this director doesn't care about me as a viewer and in fact wants to punish me.
Yes, yeah.
And with your movie, The Bone Temple, as gory as it was, it's like, oh, she's not punishing me.
No, I don't want to punish people because I think the movie, even though it's really tough places to watch, it's super hopeful at the end, and it really encapsulates, and it's part of the reason why, even though it was a tough choice to make to do it, because it was like doing another movie and it was like really tight turnaround.
And a very different movie. Were you doing Hedda at the same time?
So Hedda, I was in my director's cut when this script came to me, and they're like, we're shooting in August. I was like, it's February.
Couldn't think of two more different films.
Well, they're both horrors. They're both people being horrifying, but I think the audience is important because that's who you're making it for. Especially if you're making, if I'm going to get tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars from a studio to make a movie, I need this profit, not just so that I can make another movie, but just because it's like, why are we wasting the money then if we're not trying to like make it? Yeah, it's like I don't feel entitled to anyone's money.
You seem very not in line with the ego I feel in so many other directors who are names.
Well, I grew up with low self-esteem, so that helps. Yeah, so a lot of my confidence is actually just like a defense mechanism against me being like, I'm dumb, like as a kid. But I think it really helps me stay sort of grounded. But also I have really great friends and family who are like proud of me, but also not going to be like blowing smoke up my ass.
Yeah. All right, if you're just now joining me, I'm talking with filmmaker Nia DaCosta. She's recently released 2 acclaimed films, Hedda, starring Tessa Thompson, and the zombie horror movie 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. You've said in previous interviews that The Bone Temple, this horror film that we're discussing, horror film with a heart, you said it's all about the nature of evil. So I have to ask,
and then exit right.
What is Nia DaCosta's big thesis on the nature of evil? Or what did making this film teach you about the nature of evil?
Well, I think the thing that makes this film so scary is
Get ready to turn right.
The most horrifying parts of it are the parts where someone's choosing to behave in a terrible way, choosing to hurt people. And they've created an entire dogma and like reasoning system around why it's the right thing to do and why they deserve to do that and why they should be doing that. And I think as human beings, obviously, like, we are on a rock flinging itself through space in a universe that is mostly nothing. And I think the meaninglessness that can incite in a person has led to, like, a lot of beautiful things like art and family and whatever, but also to really terrible things like cults and dogmas that are harmful to us, but make us feel safe because there's like a set of rules that you can follow to be good and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, the history of humanity is like different dogmas being like, we hate you, let's fight. And I think a lot of these, like religion, for example, evil is like a thing like that people do, but evil doesn't really exist. Like, we exist and we make choices. And I think that's the nature of evil. It's like
evil is a choice.
Evil is a choice, but also it is a response to, and this is why I love the movie, this like humanist and this like sadist. It's like evil is a choice, and I think those choices are a response to like the meaninglessness of life, and how we organize and how we organize that weight and how we share that weight, and in so doing find meaning.
Yeah.
And that can also be in religion. Like my whole family, I'm not religious, but my whole family is, and like they find like really positive meaning through religion in that sense, and community. Or you can create a dogma that is terrifying and privileges you and gives you freedoms at the expense of other people.
Yeah.
And sorry, that's a really complicated answer, but that's how I think about.
I love it.
Think about it. Yeah.
I love you alluding to the choice of it all. People making choices.
Yeah.
I think in this moment, what is so strange about the world is that people that you would never expect to make that choice that feels horrible, they do.
Yeah.
And it's people that previously made what you might have called good choices. And something about this current moment is underscoring for me. It's like, we think people are inherently good or inherently bad.
Yeah.
In actuality, most of us are choosing to be good or bad
in any given
every
moment.
second,
Yeah.
and we can do both.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, Tessa said something really interesting when we were...
Tessa Thompson, who's
the star of my film Hedda, she said something really interesting while we were... Because everyone's like, what the hell is that woman's problem? Which is why that play, like, is so famous to this day.
Yeah.
And she said, I think of her... Because she does horrific things, and I don't think she's a good person, but that's not really what the movie's about, whether or not she's a good person. But she said, it helped for Tessa to think of Hedda almost like as a child, because children do terrible things, and they do really loving things, but they're still innocent. And I think that really, speaks to how I think about these choices, and why someone can, in a political sense, go from voting for, like, Bernie Sanders to voting for Trump. And I think what is helpful about that is that, like, the Venn diagram actually has nothing to do with platform or policy, but feeling. And I think if we can, like, when you think about, like, what the feeling is that they get from whatever these people are saying, like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
And so I think, again, we have, like, these structures and these systems and everything we've invented as human beings, but at the end of the day, we're purely emotional creatures.
Yeah.
And I think we just want to feel safe because it's so scary, the weight of everything.
We place logic over our emotions.
Exactly.
And use the logic to give it some semblance of story and structure.
Yeah.
But we're all animals.
Yeah, exactly.
The Bone Temple was a movie about how we're all animals.
Yeah, and same thing with Hedda. Hedda's like, she wants everyone's animal to come out.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, girl, I'm tired. And she's like, no, and I think like right now, I think I'm really fascinated by the fact that we're animals and never think about the fact that we're animals and how that has created the world we live in now.
Yeah. It's very interesting hearing you describe making this all come together. You describe it very matter-of-factly and very calmly, and you said you trust the process, you let the people figure it out. This underscores something I have read just about everyone who talks about the way you work as a director say. They say you're a very calm director.
Yeah, I am.
God bless.
Well, you learned that, though. Like, I mean, I remember on my first movie, my very first film, I was in prep, and I was like, this one day I was just like really not nice. I was just like kind of short with people and whatever. And I think I snapped at like our location manager or something, and my producing partner who did Hedda, and we're like doing everything together now. She came to my office and she was like, "Hey girl, like you gotta figure out what's going on. Like you can't do that." And I was like, and I burst into tears. I was like, ah.
You burst into tears.
I did, yeah. I know. And then also I've never cried again in any context for film, but I remember calling Nicole Beckwith, who had just made her first film, and I said, "Here's what happened. Like help?" And she's like, "Oh, you're overwhelmed. That's what's happening." And that was literally what was happening. And I was like, "Oh, right." And she was like, "Yeah, like here's some things I've learned. Like silence is great. Saying I don't know, really helpful. And some other things." I was like, "Oh, right. Okay, cool." And so then I apologized to the location manager, and I was like, "Yeah, sorry, I was overwhelmed."
You apologized?
Yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah. I always apologize if I like am not like living up to my standards for myself in terms of behavior.
Yeah.
And then I was like, just chill the whole rest of the shoot.
I can't envision a male director ever telling me that.
Yeah, bless them. I mean, listen, but again, this goes down to the thing that I'm so curious about, which is like we're animals. And so like I was having these emotional responses because I wasn't connecting to the fact that I was overwhelmed. And also it's fine to be overwhelmed. I'm directing my first film. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but all these people are here to help me. And so I think that also like informed the way I collaborate, where I'm like, on the one hand, I'm super clear about what I want, and I'm like, here are the colors, here's this, here's that, here's the journey, blah, blah, blah. Now fill up my cup, like tell me the better version of that. Tell me another way to do it. Like, I'm really collaborative, I'm really open, but I'm also super clear. So it always ends up being my vision, but it's just like better because I'm letting these people who are brilliant, and frankly, all of them have made more movies than me because they don't spend 3 years on a film the way I do, So I think it was really helpful that happened, and that I had my peers, because I also like having director peers, especially female directors, is so helpful. Just calling and be like, I need advice. Like, what do you think?
Yeah.
It's really great, A
breath of fresh air. All right, time now for a break. When we come back, Nia DaCosta shares how she thinks about race and responsibility in her art. Stay with us.
Can't get enough PBS programming? PBS Passport is an added member benefit that offers exclusive streaming access to many of your favorite programs on the PBS app. Whether you're an NPR listener, a PBS watcher, or both, your ongoing donations of at least $5 per month qualify for PBS Passport. Make your gift now to start watching at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate.
Listening to the news can feel like a journey, and 1A is the place for daily conversation that guides you beyond the headlines. We bring together thoughtful guests and listeners from every state to help us take the pulse of America. I'm Jen White. We'll get to the heart of the story together on 1A.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on News 88.7.
Hi, I'm John Donvan, host of Open to Debate, where we bring you open-minded discussions and debates about the issues affecting our lives. Everything from science and tech to politics, culture, and foreign policy. In our divided nation, we feel it's more important than ever for people to be open-minded, open to disagreement, and open to listening to the other side. Join me in being open to debate.
Sunday night at 10 p.m. on News 88.7.
Hey, y'all, it's the Sam Sanders Show. Let's get back to my conversation with filmmaker Nia DaCosta. Nia became the first black woman director to have her film debut at the top of the box office back in 2021. It was the horror film Candyman. Since then, Nia has directed films like The Marvels, Hedda, and most recently, 28 years later, The Bone Temple. All right, let's get back into it. How much of that presentation of self on a set, being calm, cool, collected, responding to emotions like overwhelm and acting accordingly, how much of that is complicated by being a black woman director in a moment when there's still not enough?
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing, I will say, because I've had people talk to me crazy, like especially on my first two films. Especially on Candyman, actually.
Okay.
Because in a way, Littlewoods is like, there's me, my two producing partners who are women, most of the department heads were women. You know, it was first film, a lot of people like who we felt like we were all just like hanging out. Like every weekend I'd have like a party at my house, like a barbecue at my house.
I love it.
You know, like it felt like peers hanging out. Slight tangent, but related. I asked my mom once. So once my mom and I and my little sister were in the Adirondacks, she was on a business trip. She brought us with her. And we were leaving our hotel room, and the people across the hall came out, and they were like, "Oh, are you the maid?" To my mom. We're in bathing suits. We're like have towels over our we don't we're not in there's no cart of linens in front of us.
Yeah.
Also, like, why are these children here if she's the maid at a resort? And my mom was like, "No," and she smiled. She's very gracious, and they were like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And I remember being like, "Whoa, like that's what it is actually." It's less like someone like calling you the N-word or like, you know, it's more like an assumption of where you belong.
Yes.
And I asked my mom once, I said, "Do you feel like you experience racism at work?" And at the time she was working as an executive assistant, and she said, "No, but that's where people expect me to be."
Oof.
So as a director, what's been interesting is having crew who work for me saying crazy things to me. Like one person said, I was like, "Oh yeah, I used to have dreads." And he's like, "Oh, that's gross." And then one time I was on the corner waiting for my assistant to come pick me up, and he made it, same person of course, said, "Oh, you're like hooking on the side for, you know, whatever." I'm the director of the film. I hired him, I could fire him.
There you go.
And I was just like, and this is like my second film, and I'm like, oh right, that's what it is. Other things have happened, but I would say because of that, like I got better at like choosing my people.
Yeah.
Hire slow, fire real fast. Also, when I ask about people, I don't just ask my male director friends how someone behaved on set. If they work with women, if they've never worked with women, I work with black people, and I work with black women, I have questions.
Yeah.
I love doing generals.
So what does it say about your worldview?
Exactly. And also, again, there's not a lot of us, but you know, like an actor like Paul Mescal's worked with so many female directors, so many first-time female directors. Yeah. So him, I'm like, okay, if someone says he's great, I can trust that more.
I love hearing you describe all of this because it gets at this thing that I think a lot of directors don't understand. we've heard the stories.
Yeah.
These men, they're like, I have a vision. I'm an auteur. I'm a genius. And so in service of the vision, I can be a jerk. And maybe I should be a jerk.
Yeah.
But in actuality, directing a major motion picture is this much vision and this much just like managing people. You're managing a corporation. And you need to be an effective, dare I say, kind and diplomatic manager as well. It feels like you get that, and I appreciate that.
I do, and also, like, it is about, this is the hiring thing, it's like, my producing partner, if she said to me, you didn't get that, the whole scene, I'd be like, okay, let me think about it. If someone else said that to me, I'd be like, how dare you challenge my vision, you know?
Yeah.
And then maybe a week later, I'd be like, maybe, you know? But but that's the thing, again, like this emotional animal thing, it's like, I know this about myself, how receptive I am to that kind of critique or input. I need the right people around me. I have to trust them.
Yeah.
And I need to know that they trust me.
Yeah.
That's a big thing for me.
I love this. Let's talk about Hedda some more.
Woo.
My biggest question on Hedda, and I love that the movie made me want to ask this question. I can't tell if it is a black film or not.
Ooh, yeah. Okay, this is so fun.
Yes.
So, long answer incoming. Something I think about a lot is what freedom looks like.
I was hoping you'd get there, yes.
Yeah, because that's something I think I've talked about this a bit before. What does freedom look like? And you know, when it came to me, it was when I was talking to one of my friends who's actually in the movie. Talking to him, another guy, Jamel Westman, who's black, mixed race, really light skinned. And in England, it's a little different than here. Mixed race people tend to be like, I'm mixed race, I'm not black. He's not one of those people. He's like, I'm black and mixed race, not an or, it's an and, which is more how I operate. Like, my family's Caribbean. We have like siblings who are the entire spectrum. You know what I mean? Yeah. Same parents, entire spectrum. So it's always weird for me. Like, is he going to see his mixed race and this person not? So, but fine, your identity is your identity. But I remember we were with one of his friends who's black mixed race, but raised by two women. And he was like, I never feel like I can, you know, say I'm black because of this and that and this and that and da-da-da and this is happening. And I said, babe, no, because that's not freedom, baby. Like, that's not like parsing people's like biological signifiers and like, it's not freedom. And I was like, oh, what is freedom then? As a black person who moves through the world, especially as a black person who like creates media and tells stories.
Yeah.
And for me, when I think about Hedda, I wasn't trying to make a black story.
Even though the lead is black.
Even though the lead is black, I knew she'd be black because I'm always like, black ladies, let's go. Like, I knew she'd be black, and I knew, and then when I met Tessa, I knew it'd be Tessa. Blackness is always going to be there, but I'm not the kind of filmmaker I am. I'm not interested in teaching white people about race. I'm not interested in giving people like a sort of journey through the racial experience in the context of like education.
No after school specials.
Don't want to do that. But it was funny because the studio, when we were like trying to figure out how to market it, because the movie's crazy, they sent it to some like black thinkers and, you know, media, like, you know, reviewers and critics, whatever. And one of the questions was like, is this a black movie? And I remember going, no one's gonna say this is a black movie, babe, because it's in the way that we've been taught to think about black films. It's not. And they all were like, no. It was so funny, and I was like, that's what I said. But also in a way it is. Because the black experience is so wide, and the way we can talk about it and the way we can express it is so vast. Like, so for me, a lot of what's happening in Hedda is a kind of my experience, like being educated in predominantly white institutions. Like, I went to boarding school for 5 years.
Which one?
The first one was Rumsey Hall in Connecticut, which was like the whitest place to this day I've ever been. I've been to Denmark as well. The whitest place I've ever been in Connecticut. And then my next one, my high school, was like much more diverse, closer to the city. Like, you know, the city being New York. Sorry, I'm a New Yorker, so the city is always my city. Yeah. And that is a black experience, being like, feeling like everyone's white. Like, what the hell? Like, this is crazy. And like how that affects the way you move and learn how to talk and all that stuff. So yeah, like, in that sense, it absolutely is a black movie.
All right, if you're just now joining me, I'm talking with filmmaker Nia DaCosta. She's recently released 2 acclaimed films, Hedda, starring Tessa Thompson, and the zombie horror movie 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. I like this idea of freedom and how you exhibit freedom and live freedom. And it's like, when I think of freedom as a creative who is also black and also gay. What I want is ultimately to have as many chances to make mistakes as the other ones get.
Yeah.
So, like, we've reached a point in media where, like, a lot more people are more comfortable seeing black people on the screen, seeing gay people on the screen.
Yeah.
But the tightrope that people have to walk making that stuff is harder.
Yeah.
You don't get to mess up. Or you get fewer chances to mess up.
Yeah.
Or when you do mess up, it's worse.
Yeah.
So for me, freedom in the creative context is just like getting to be as sloppy sometimes as the white boys are.
And also not fearing a mistake. I think that's where real freedom is.
Yes.
It's like not fearing what will happen if you...
Yes.
It's really interesting because, like, I've not stopped working since.
Oh, we know. You be working.
And so does my therapist. And so it's interesting when I talk to black female filmmakers who are like still in school, and like, what have you experienced and how hard is it? And I was like, what's hard about being a black female filmmaker is what's hard about being a black woman. Period. So like, you don't need advice from me about how to navigate. You learn how to navigate. You're at UCLA, babe. You know how to navigate white spaces. What I feel really lucky about is, and it's interesting because like you could look at like Marvel's like didn't do well, but me working in Marvel, like I can stand by everything I did in that when I was in that building, you know, on that lot. I would still have good relationships with everyone at that studio. So from the outside, it might look like, oh, a big mistake, you know, big flop or whatever. Well, it is a flop, but a big like, oh no, what will happen to her?
You're okay saying that? The F word.
Flop? Oh yeah, for sure. That's just a financial determination. That's not really like a reflection on me.
Okay.
No, it's actually interesting. Like, I think, like, I have filmmaker friends, men actually, who've had a big flop, but like destroyed them. Like really hard to get to the next one. A lot of fear around like, oh God, what if you know? I'm just trying to work again.
That part.
And I
think that's the black of it. Because at the end of the day,
we move.
Like our existence and our careers, it is more tenuous and precarious, period.
Yeah.
So we gotta work.
Yeah.
We gotta work.
Exactly. And I'm super clear about what I want to do and why. And I've always been really clear about like, I did this indie movie, I need to do genre next. One day I want to do a Marvel film. Okay, this is how this is going right now. I need to make Hedda because I need to come back to my thing. And my whole team is really takes care of me and really is like, okay, let's make sure that we're not staying stagnant, that we're using everything we can to keep moving forward. So I've always been working because of that. And also like the other thing, like when I'm in these studios and I have these meetings with like the heads of studios or execs, it's like, it really matters if you care about like finishing on budget and on time.
Yeah.
There are a lot of filmmakers who make great movies consistently, whose names we do not know, because they just care about the work, you know, and they're not interested in like their brand or whatever.
Yeah.
And of course, like film people know them because they're like, I want to watch more. But like, I think people underestimate how important that is.
Yeah.
As well.
I want more people making movies to approach that work with a sense of care for the teams they work with and that are working under them.
Yeah.
I hear that from you when you talk about craft. What will it take for the rest of directing to move closer to that? Because I still hear stories of the a-hole directors and the shouting and the yelling and the crazy and and it's still beloved by many parts of this industry. Will that shift, and what would it take?
I think the thing is, it's like from the top down, and if you're thinking about like a systemic change, the top is the studio head. But here's the really interesting thing about filmmaking. I get recommended actors who are known like abusers, and not in the sense of like they beat women, but in the sense of like they are screaming on set, they are abusive towards people they work with, whether it's verbally or throwing potatoes across rooms or whatever.
Not potatoes.
Yeah, listen, anything they can get their hands on. And the thing is, they don't care because they're not there. They don't go, they're not on set. They just get dailies back, and sometimes on dailies you see potatoes flying across the room, but they're like, that guy is really popular with the public. Yes, we had to pay him $20 million, but like the math of it says that this is going to make it work, and we love his acting. So that is a big thing, that chasm between like the execs who are making these decisions and then the people who are making the films, including the director. I think at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is like so many people in our industry are like unwell. Unwell, unmedicated, untherapized, and completely lacking curiosity about their internal lives. Which is weird because we are making like empathetic pieces of work. There are directors I love who I've met, and they're like the most arrogant, egotistical people I've ever met. Part of that is how they've been able to push through and like get their voices heard. Also, like fighting against a studio, if that's what you're doing. I'm not really into that antagonistic relationship, but if you have to fight against a studio, like it does harden you. It is really hard when you're like, you don't know how to make a movie. I do. Like, let me do what I need to do. So that I get that being difficult. I don't put myself in those situations anymore because that to me, my experience is the movie won't be what it needs to be. So I don't know how it will change, honestly. I think like the worst cases of abuse shift because of public sentiment, which is cool. Where you can't behave like that because it won't get out. But there are moments like Christian Bale flipping out. Where it's like, I've heard versions of that story, and it's actually like, oh, that's actually a more complicated story than like an actor like screaming at, like, you know, like there's a lot was happening on that set. And I think that's the other thing. It's like, it's so hard. Like, even though it's like fun and you watch a movie and you're there for 2 hours, but like getting to that point is like almost impossible.
Hundreds of people.
And the pressure's on, and the money and the
thing. It's a miracle any film gets finished.
Let alone is great or good. So I think that's the thing. So I don't know, but I do think also for myself inside the industry, if I see an actor on a list who should not be on a list because they've done something terrible, I'll be like, oh, this person, no, he did it. He hit those women. And they're like, oh, we were wondering if he was coming back. He's not. I mean, if you want him to, but I can tell you, like, he shouldn't be on this list. You know what I mean? So like, I think we all holding each other accountable is the only way.
Nia, this is so great. I look forward to everything you do next, and I'm glad that your energy is in this town because we need more of it.
Thank you so much, and I'm so excited to have watched your career over these past 10 years. It's so cool. This is great for me.
A special day. Thank you, Nia.
Thank you.
Okay, sign our beach ball. All of our guests too. Thanks again to my guest, filmmaker Nia DaCosta. And thank you for checking out the show today. This show is a co-production between Sam Sanders Productions and KCRW. We are distributed nationally by PRX. Our showrunner is Tyler Green. Our senior producer is Bennett Purser. Andrea Bautista is our producer and social media editor. Phil Richards is our technical director. Bo Delmore is our video lead. Luis Pena is our switcher and video editor. Ramel Alcantura is our graphic designer. Alicia Baitub composed our theme music. And together, Arnie Seipel and I co-executive produced this show. If you like what you've heard today, you can find more of my interviews on your favorite podcast app, on YouTube, and kcrw.com/Sam Sanders. All right, till next time, be good to yourselves.
PRX.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from Metro, introducing the Ride Metro Fare Card. The Ride Metro fare system replaces the Metro Q Fare Card for bus and rail fares. Details at ridemetro.org/fare system.
I'm Anita Rao. What happens when a mother and child share a strong bond and a chronic illness?
My mom would say, oh, I went through that too. And so without her intending to do this, we both said, oh, this is normal, and continued on with our lives.
How discovering a shared Ehlers-Danlos diagnosis shaped a family's relationship. Join us next time on Embodied.
Your NPR station News 88.7 KUHF Houston, a service of the University of Houston. Get local and breaking news anytime at houstonpublicmedia.org. Listen to us on your favorite devices. Tell your smart speaker to play News 88.7.
From Futuro Media and PRX, it's Latino USA. I'm Maria Hinojosa. And today, it's an episode full of love. First, poet Jessica Salgado on loving others and loving yourself.
As someone with my body, it's taken a long time to get to this, right? Like, I spent many years pretending that this wasn't my body.
Later in our show, we speak with longtime best friends, Diego Luna and Gael Garcia Bernal.
I know friendship, I know what that is, but what I have with Gael is something else. What we have is called more like your chosen family.
All this coming up on Latino USA. Stay with us, no te vayas.
From NPR News in Washington, I'm Janine Herbst. Secretary of State Marco Rubio continues his trip overseas and is now in Hungary. Earlier today in Slovakia, he told that country's president that the U.S. is committed to strong ties with European allies.
I see it reported yesterday in some places, the Europeans are very upset. They're going to be less dependent on America now. We don't want Europe to be dependent. We're not asking Europe to be a vassal of the United States. We want to be your partner. We want to work with Europe. We want to work with our allies. We want to work in cooperation with you. And our point has been and continues to be, the stronger you are, both on an individual basis in terms of countries and collectively as an alliance, the stronger the members of NATO are, the stronger NATO is.
Rubio addressed the Munich Security Conference yesterday, and tomorrow he meets with Hungarian President Viktor Orban, who is considered one of President Trump's closest allies in Europe. Orban's also maintained close ties to Russian President Putin. Democratic leaders say the party is ready to spend millions of dollars on a ballot measure in Virginia, allowing Democrats to redraw the state's congressional map. NPR's Ashley Lopez reports it's an effort to offset President Trump's plans to tilt maps in the GOP's favor for the midterms.
The Virginia Supreme Court ruled on Friday that Democrats can put a ballot measure before voters that would pave the way for the party to draw as many as 4 more seats that would favor them this year. In an interview with CNN, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said the party will fight hard to make sure that measure passes.
We will spend tens of millions of dollars to make sure that the Republicans do not successfully manipulate voters in Virginia, and that voters have all of the information necessary to make a decision.
GOP leaders in Texas, North Carolina, and Missouri redrew their congressional maps at President Trump's urging last year. The special election in Virginia will be held in April. Ashley Lopez, NPR News.
On a holiday-shortened trading week, investors on Wall Street will get the latest GDP data. NPR's Rafael Nam reports.
For a long time, there's been a difference between how Americans feel about the economy and what the data actually show. A long period of high prices and uncertainty about the labor market has left many households feeling a little skittish about their future. The data, though, largely have shown the U.S. economy is expanding at a very solid pace, growing more than 4% in the summer and early fall. On Friday, we'll get the latest GDP report, this one covering from October to December. That's going to give investors a good report card on the economy, including on consumer spending and the impact of tariffs. Another important clue will come on Thursday, when Walmart will report earnings, giving us another good view of consumer spending. Rafael Nam, NPR News.
And Wall Street's closed tomorrow in observance of President's Day. You're listening to NPR News from Washington. The FBI says a glove found about 2 miles from the home of Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old who was apparently kidnapped from her home 2 weeks ago, appears to match a glove worn by a masked suspect in surveillance doorbell video at her house in Tucson. The FBI says it's awaiting final DNA test results on the glove. Authorities have made no arrests in the case. There's a new Olympic record set in speed skating. As NPR's Ping Wong reports, it's the 6th record broken in long track speed skating at these Winter Games.
At the Milano Speed Skating Stadium, it's becoming the norm for speed skaters to blast through previous Olympic records. Sunday was no different in the women's 500-meter sprint. Going last in the event, sprinter Femke Kok clocked the distance in 36.49 seconds, beating the previous Olympic record by nearly half a second. Kok now holds both the Olympic record and the world record set last year in this event. It was a 1-2 finish for the Dutch. Her teammate Jutta Leerdam came in second, and Japanese skater Miho Takagi came in third. Erin Jackson, the top U.S. sprinter, missed the podium by 0.05 of a second after a stumble going into the second corner. Now that her events are done, she plans to enjoy the food and the sights in Italy. Ping Huang, NPR News, Milan.
At the weekend box office, Emerald Fennell's bold new reimagining Wuthering Heights debuted in the top spot with an estimated $34 million in ticket sales. In second place, the animated basketball film GOAT with $26 million. The Sony release was produced by basketball star Steph Curry. You're listening to NPR News from Washington.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Fidelity Investments. A dedicated advisor can help build a flexible wealth plan. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC.
Remember when you'd see a bill signing at the White House with lawmakers from both parties celebrating an achievement? Don't look now, but maybe we're getting close to that. A bipartisan bill to make housing more affordable in our country breezed through the House. I'm David Green. There is still lots of work to do on this legislation, but this moment is starting to feel real. We'll talk about it on the next Left, Right, and Center.
Welcome to Latino USA. I'm Maria Hinojosa. We're going to start the show with poet Jessica Salgado.
Keep right.
Jessica! Hi, how are you?
I'm meeting up with poet Jessica Salgado outside of the Hunts Point Produce Market in the South Bronx.
I'll meet you anywhere.
Yes. It's a frigid winter day, and we're all bundled up.
Ready.
Jessica is visiting from her home in Los Angeles.
To be talking about love somewhere that isn't home kind of makes it even that much more richer for me.
Hunts Point is the largest wholesale fruit and vegetable market in the world. And we've brought Jessica here because we're on a kind of a quest.
Go straight on.
We're here to find the sexiest, most romantic fruit. It's Latino USA. For this story, a conversation with poet Jessica Salgado about love, lust, and being a hopeless romantic. Our chat first aired in 2020, and it does mention sex, so you've been warned. Jessica writes a lot of love poems, and many of those poems talk about mangoes and lemons and oranges. So she's the perfect person to bring to the Hunts Point Market. It's super industrial. There are guys hauling crates of pumpkins and celery around. There are trucks everywhere. They beep as they pull in and out of the parking lot. Honestly, it's not that easy to find somebody here to ask about sexy fruit, but then we run into this guy. Hey, what's your name?
Salvatore Sugarone. Naturally, they call me Sugar.
So we're here because Jessica is a poet. She writes a lot about love and sex and passion.
Oh, I could sing about that, but I got a raspy voice. Usually I'm a good singer, but right now I'm a little off.
What would be the song that you would sing?
Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. See, I'm a little off, though. On a good night, you would melt.
So, because you're here all the time, what is the sexiest piece of fruit or the most romantic piece of fruit?
Oh, I would say a kiwi.
You got any?
Yeah.
Sugar walks over to a pile of kiwis that he's selling, and he splits one open with a knife. And it looks pretty spectacular. It's bright yellow on the inside, and it looks super juicy.
That's a gold kiwi. Try that.
Thank you. So what makes this the sexiest fruit for you?
It's the sexiest fruit. Don't you taste it?
I mean, it's delicious. It's beautiful, but I would have never thought of a kiwi as sexy. Like, I think of kiwis as an awkward fruit.
Okay, but seriously, right now, if you bite into this kiwi, right? You gotta do the sucking motion, right? So you gotta get that. So here we go.
I think that's the sensual part.
No. And you're just like, no.
I mean, I get it, but I don't think it's the sexiest fruit.
No, because you're actually taking out poor thing. She's like,
I stuck too hard. But I mean, it's delicious.
So we tried the golden kiwi, but Hunts Point is bursting with potentially sexy fruits.
What are those?
I don't know.
They're tomatoes.
Wow.
They're beautiful
Those
tomatoes.
are like the most sensual.
And right next to a very phallic chili.
We spot some squash. This is some pretty
intense.
Robust. Anything coming to mind as you're looking at the squash?
Me. It's a heavy, beautiful fruit. And these are still green and they're changing colors. Let's put it back down. It's like oozing.
Jessica grew up in LA in a Salvadoran family. She calls herself a fat fly poet. She's been writing and performing poetry for more than a decade, first online and at poetry slams. Jessica and her poetry have blown up over the last few years with help from Instagram and with a lot of love from LA's Latinx community. Last fall, back in 2019, she published her third book of poetry. It's called Hermosa. And Jessica has a real talent for finding the poetry in everyday things.
I talk about a lot with ripening fruits as like the discovering of love and finding love. And I think it's because it takes a lot of growth to be able to harvest. And then even then you still have to wait for it to be ready for you to consume. And many times we're so worried about love, we don't realize it has to take time to become love. And so I think fruits teach us those lessons to wait. Like, I don't think you've really known love until you're waiting for a mango to ripen or an avocado to ripen. And you keep going back and touching it and you're like, no, it's not ready. I can't eat it yet. And then when you finally can, you're like, I'm so glad I waited. So beautiful.
All right, well, let's keep walking.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
As we go deeper into the market, we start feeling, well, a little bit in the way of men pushing around fruit crates. And then, all of a sudden...
Hola. Charge here?
I am.
Sorry, I'm Director Medina. Good. Can I ask what your purpose here is?
And that's the beginning of the end of our fruit adventure. Director Medina politely escorts us to the exit. But before leaving, I had just one more question. So we were here to talk about...
Go straight on.
Romantic and sexy fruit. Okay, you just gave me the side eye. What is the sexiest fruit?
For me?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Come on, you got to give us an answer. You're around fruit every single day.
Oh, let's go with the mango, the grapes, and avocado.
I agree.
And with that, we exit the market, get in the car, and head back to the Latino USA studios in Harlem. Yes, sir. Back in our warm studio, I sit down with Jessica to talk about love, lust, her body, and her new book. All right, Jessica, thank you for going on the sexy fruit hunt with us, and I'm really sorry that we got kicked out.
I can't ever say anybody else has ever interviewed me like that. I love it.
You have written a lot about your body, and you call yourself a body positive activist. And you've written about how relationships have affected your relationship with your body.
Definitely. I mean, being a fat woman in general, it's a lot, right?
Right.
And then like we get to Hunts Point, I see how large it is. I'm like, we're gonna have to walk around. I'm gonna be out of breath just because I'm a lot more body moving around. But there's something in me that always kicks into, no, I'm Jessica Salgado, and I'm here with Maria Hinojosa. Like, there's no time to be shy. And I feel that that's also what happens during sex. All of my hang-ups, all of my whatever, I could show up at a man's house and have a laundry list of why he might not want to have sex with me. But the minute that we're both naked, who cares? Like, the car got started and we're on our way, and like all the fears and everything doesn't even matter anymore. And I think that as someone with my body, it's taken a long time to get to this, right? Like, I spent many years pretending that this wasn't my body. going online with other women's pictures and only having romance through phones and through screens, and then coming into who I am now, this woman who says, like, yeah, like, there's things about my body that aren't ideal, but everybody has that. My experience is not unique, especially as women in this country that we're told that beauty looks a specific way, and there's only a small percentage of the population that does look like that.
Keep left.
What have been the significant moments where love has changed how you think about your own body?
Oh, my goodness. So I used to catfish, right? I used to pretend to be other people. And one of the last relationships that I had using someone else's pictures instead of my own online, right, was with this guy named Dominic from Reading, Pennsylvania. And he and I spoke for like 6 months, and we had talked about visiting each other, and I kept putting it off, and excuses of why I couldn't get on camera, all these things, right? And then finally it just got to be too much. And it was kind of when I hit the wall, when I was like, what am I doing? I had already found a community of poetry and poets that loved me and supported me, and I was going home to pretend to be somebody else. And it was just becoming like a lot. And so I came clean to him, right? I confessed. And it was my turning point in my life. I felt that my wrongdoing wasn't lying to him for X amount of months. It was getting him to fall in love with a fat woman. I feel that was what I had done wrong. And so I told him, I'm going to disappear. I won't be in your life anymore. I'm sorry. And he said, no, I love you. I want you in my life. I don't know if I could do a relationship with you because you're a liar, but I still want you in my life. And then he said, why didn't you let me choose? You didn't even give me the option to choose you. And that question changed the rest of everything for me, because him asking that question, I'm like, I don't even choose myself.
After the break, I wrap up my conversation with Jessica Salgado. We're going to talk about her growing career success and how this has helped her figure out just what she wants out of love.
You come into my life and this doesn't work out, it's okay, because I already planned my life without you. But if you decide to stay, we can plan that life now.
Stay with us. No te vayas.
I'm Ira Flato. When did you first get captivated by science? Astronaut Leland Melvin says his interest was sparked literally when his mother gave him a chemistry set.
I created this explosion. I burned her carpet. She ran in the room, and I got a spanking, but my brain was activated to science.
Activate your brain to science on Science Friday from WNYC Studios.
Science Friday, every Friday, 1 p.m. on News 88.7.
Hi, I'm John Donvan, host of Open to Debate, where we bring you open-minded discussions and debates about the issues affecting our lives. Everything from science and tech to politics, culture, and foreign policy. In our divided nation, we feel it's more important than ever for people to be open-minded, open to disagreement, and open to listening to the other side. Join me in being open to debate.
Finally.
Sunday night at 10 p.m. on News 88.7.
You're listening to Latino USA. I'm Maria Hinojosa. For our first story, I've been speaking with poet Jessica Salgado, and we're going to get back to the rest of our conversation on love, lust, and romance. But before we do that, Jessica